October is over. Never have I been more hopeful for a new nation, for a new Nigeria. I watch the young people come out in their numbers and together agree to work together to birth a nation that we will all be proud of. That was for me the most exciting part of October. I watched them, do that. We were protesting peacefully. These are people who are learned, people who have seen better, people who desire more, come together in one accord for the singular purpose of birthing a new nation. It was awesome for me. It was amazing for me. And then afterwards we had the looters, take a turn. And I want to talk about those looters. I like to think about things. So like a thought leader, you sit down and analyze stuff and you're objective about something. You don't just, cast inspiration, you don't just draw conclusions. You sit down and analyze things. Why do people do what they do? These are human beings. They had their naming ceremonies. They were once born. They were like, oh, I have a new son, I have a new daughter. What happened to them? Why are they looting? And I came up with this, thought, this position. I want to imagine you're living in a big house. From the outside, it's the envy of the neighbors. It's a really big house and it's nice. But the children inside are surviving, are merely surviving. They can hardly eat. They barely can pay their fees. They always have to be sent away from school. But they are from a rich home. And unlike them, their parents are living large. Parents have gold and silver and trinkets and diamonds, and they have the best of everything. In the basement of that big house, you have all sorts of food stuff, all manner of food items, provisions, an array of cereal and all sorts of things and food items. But the children are living in penury and living in abject poverty. It would just be a matter of time and they will plot a graph to help themselves. Because they will just sense that the people that we're living with don't really have any time for, don't care about us. The people who are living with, the parents are enjoying, they're eating the best of life, they attend parties, they wear the best of clothes, they travel when they want to, where they want to. But the people who are living with them can barely eat, are barely surviving. It would just be a matter of time and they would very, very soon take action that may not be called reasonable. They can burn the entire basement down and nobody gains from it. The reason why people loot is dissatisfaction. I'm not endorsing bad behavior. I'm just trying to understand, because we have a whole lot of people who think about life from this perspective. They don't see, there's no tomorrow for them. They've watched their neighbors die because they couldn't afford 2,000 naira medical fee. They've watched their siblings, drop out of school. Tomorrow doesn't exist for them. All they have is today. So and they've been used and dumped. They give them, peanuts. It's just all they want is today's meal, the meal for now. They have no interest in what, because they have no guarantee for tomorrow. So they pent up a grievance and pent up frustration and pent up anger is what they translate and what we call looting. Now I'm just saying that it's just about time for us to have a conversation with these set of people. They give their lives on the line during politics, but they watch you drop them afterwards and they have nothing to gain from it. They only can eat for a season. Afterwards, it's over until the next season comes, another 4 years. But they watch your children go to the best schools, the Ivy League schools, and they get to think about, what is their hope? Where do they go from here? What is the hope they have in this country that they've heard is so rich? So they are not thinking like you. They haven't been exposed to the best of schools or to any school at all. They have had to suffer so much. They've had to beg to eat. They've had to steal to eat. Just basic basic needs they've had to fulfill that way. So they're not thinking like you. They're not thinking normally. They're just angry and frustrated and irritated, and they are grieved. When someone is oppressed, they rarely take out the anger on the oppressor. No, that's not the psychology of oppression. They find somebody else down the line to deal with, take out the anger on. It doesn't make sense, but neither does oppression make sense. So my thinking is, we have come to the point where we realize that we cannot continue like this. We have to have that conversation. What is the worth of an average Nigerian? I don't mean what you say to him. I mean what you make him feel. And we all have a part to play. We have people who work with us. We have domestic servants, we have drivers, we have people who live around us. Don't just hand out stuff to them once in a while. You have security men who guard you. Don't just give them, change now and then. No. And then they worship you. No. Take out time and find out, how do these people live? How are you? How is your family? Call their names. How is your wife? How are your children? Get interested. When they see that you are showing interest, that you have interest, genuine interest in them, I promise you, things will change. During the protest, I remember we encountered some Amajuis. They came to beg, which is what they naturally do. These children have been indoctrinated from birth to beg. That's all they know to do. It's been drummed into them that all you can be is a beggar. All you know to do is beg. And they beg because that's what their parents asked them to do. So when they came to the protest, some people sent them away. I said, no, don't send these children away. They are part of us. They are one of us. If we can teach them correctly, they will amount to great things. They'll be a part of us, helping us build a better nation. Let's call them. So I called them back and we gave them refreshments. And they were going to take the refreshment back to their parents. We said, no, take it here, eat it here. Eat and drink here. Because when it goes back to the parents, they only have just a part of it. It's the same feeling of inferiority. The same feeling of I don't matter, I'm not important, I don't belong. It's be clouding their judgment. So we made them have those drinks and have the refreshment right there in our presence. And it made them feel good. How do I know? Because there and then they said to us, can we have the bean bags? We want to help you pick up the litter. Because for once they've been treated like humans. And they feel like, how do I contribute to society, to the community? It's the same principle. It's the same principle. In other countries, when a product comes out, it's expensive. The big guys can afford it. The middle class can afford it. If you can just be patient, that same product will be sold will be given out at the giveaway price during the sales promo. And people who were not able to buy it at first can buy it. So the pressure of I'm inferior is reduced. You know why we have high walls and fences and gates in our country, distorting the beauty of the place? It's the same problem with insecurity. Why do we have insecurity? The real reason why you have insecurity is the same reason why the children in that house I talked about would break open the basement one day and take care of themselves, is disparity. When there is extreme disparity, then there will be issues of insecurity. So you bridge the gap. You create a system where people don't feel left out. In our system, it's so glaring. It is so glaring, the haves and the have-not. The link is the bridge is so wide. And people who are on the other side of the waters feel so aggrieved and irritated. They cannot even imagine the simple pleasures. They cannot have the simple, just basic things like food and shelter. Some of them live on the streets, under the bridge, in this same country, where a plot of land can be $1 billion in this same country. We have to come together and have that conversation. We have to come together and build a nation. We can't continue like this. Otherwise, it would implode. There will be an explosion and nobody will be spared. We have to come together and tell ourselves the truth. tell ourselves the truth. We need genuine and sincere leaders who can actually, walk the talk and put the money where their mouth is and the foundation, begin to build. Public schools should be just as good as private schools. There shouldn't be that kind of disparity where they're sitting down on the floor or under the tree to learn when we have classes that are air conditioned in private schools. There's too much disparity and it's bringing the irritation, the frustration, the grievance. It's bringing the madness that we're experiencing and we've experienced in the last few weeks. My proposal, my recommendation is, before we become that nation, look around you and show empathy, show consideration. This tout to watch politicians have 100 cars. They don't even have a bicycle to their name. They don't even have a bicycle spoke. But these politicians have hundreds of cars in their possession. What do you think they would do? In the same society is our Nigeria. What makes you more Nigerian than the rest of us? That's the question they're asking. So they begin to plot a graph. And it's usually not a reasonable graph, because what they want to do is they want to spoil stuff. In that sense, nobody enjoys it. Since I can't get it, you can't get it either. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just explaining the thinking of the tout. And I'm saying that we have to, once we can win them over, not just by giving them handouts. If we can win them over and make them feel like human beings, like people of worth, then we will stand together and fight together to build the nation of our dreams. Yes, we can. We have to, so that in the years to come, we can look back and be happy that we've been able to birth and bring forth the Nigeria of our dreams.